Good to have you on International Tit Bits on Atlantic Vision Network. This is a show where we bring you news, events, and stories from across the world. Here we ensure that the real on-time news are packaged for the viewing pleasure of the people. And of course, I won't be doing this alone today. I have with me Valentina Lawrence. Thank you for joining me. And let's go straight to our headlines for today. This one is coming from South Niger. Junta's appoint Prime Minister meets with EU. From Rwanda, 5 new UNESCO World Heritage Sites elite celebrations. And from Ethiopia, military dismiss all Alabab video as fake.
The Congo president calls for withdrawal of UN troops from his country. From Kenya, authorities recall anti-fever medication over public safety. From Kenya, IT establishes diplomatic relations with ambassadors.
There's and many more stories we'll be looking at when we return from this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is International TV Bits on Atlantic Television Network. And now on our stories. The military-appointed Prime Minister in Niger, Ali Lamine Zani, has held talk with the European Union envoy to the country. Despite strained relations with the bloc, the EU has threatened to impose sanctions on Niger in response to July's coup. Earlier this month, the envoy Salvador Pinco de Franca complained that he had been denied access to the French embassy. The French ambassador was staying there after being ordered to leave the country by the junta. In a separate development, Switzerland and Denmark have reported to have resumed humanitarian activities in Niger less than 2 months after suspending them because of the coup.
Rwandans have expressed delight after UNESCO added 5 sites to its prestigious World Heritage List on Wednesday. Uruguay National Park, a biodiverse rainforest, and recognition for its flora and fauna, including the endangered eastern chimpanzee and golden monkey. ARCO's network, a Rwandan-based conservation NGO, called the development exciting. Its leader, Sam Kanyamibwa, said it proves Rwanda's efforts and conservation policy that is commended for works. More than 20 new sites could be added on the current list of World Heritage Sites with outstanding universal value to humanity. However, the global distribution of sites has been a matter of debate amongst many. Europe only has more than a third of the sites, and countries like France and Germany have more than 50. For this edition, 27 countries, including 12 African nations, lacked any inscribed sites on the
Ethiopia has dismissed a viral video issued by the Al-Shabaab in which the Islamic military group says it attacked an Ethiopian envoy on Somalia, killing 167 soldiers. The Ethiopian military issued a statement saying it has completely thwarted an attempted attack on Sunday by 450 Al-Shabaab militants. Called Fasa Ayele, the commander of Ethiopia's contingent in Somalia, said Al-Shabaab has also left 3 exploded landed vehicles on the road, which with the troop had destroyed. It did not mention any Ethiopian casualties in a statement. It is rare for Ethiopia's army to respond to reports of attack in Somalia, where its troops are supporting the government in its bid to swap out the Al-Qaeda affiliated militants. Residents told the Reuters news agency that crash took place near the southern western town of Sabdure, around 20 kilometers from the Ethiopian border.
Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi has called for a speedier withdrawal of troops from his country to begin this year. He told the UN General Assembly on Wednesday that he had instructed his government to begin talks with the UN to bring forward the start of this progressive withdrawal from December 2024 to December 2024. Mr. Tshisekedi said the mission, known by the acronym MONUSCO, had failed to bring peace in the country despite being there for about 25 years, adding that it was illusory and counterproductive to continue to cling to the force to maintain peace. It is time for our country to take full control of its destiny, become the main actor in its own stability, he told his audience in New York. MONUSCO has almost 18,000 personnel in the country, including more than 12,000 soldiers, making it the second largest UN mission globally. But it has become increasingly unpopular in recent years and had faced several protests since last year. Protesters accused them of failing to protect civilians against decades of attacks from the many rebels that operate in the rural regions of the country. Elections are due to be held in DR Congo in late December. Prompted by the anti-UN protests, it was agreed that the force would begin its withdrawal the following month. Last year, an East African force was deployed to eastern DR Congo to aid the Congolese while fighting there, though it too has faced criticism.
Kenya's pharmaceutical regulators has recalled an order medicine used to retrieve pain and fever in children, citing urgent safety concern. The Pharmacy and Points Board said it has retrieved multiple market complaints regarding the quality of severe branch of paracetamol or oral solution called Temedol. The PPB orders pharmacies to hold the sale of the brand drugs and urge the public to return any stock to the nearest health facilities. Manufactured by the Kenyan pharmaceutical company is becoming the ninth in the growing list of medicines so far recalled by the regulators this year alone. Meanwhile, the PPB has issued a warning about the suspected substandard and falsified branch of Banq, a drug used to diagnose disorder of internal organs. The regulator says the affected product branch, which were manufactured in China, an island, has entered the country's market illegally.
Haiti and Kenya have established diplomatic relations, according to a joint statement issued by both countries. The document signed by both the Haitian and Kenyan foreign ministers announces they are to exchange ambassadors. Kenya has offered to send 1,000 police officers to Haiti as part of an international assistance program. The Haitian government appealed last year for foreign help to tackle widespread gang violence. The United States has been leading efforts to organize a rescue mission. A draft resolution is being prepared.
The UK Supreme Court has ruled out Mozambique can sue the shipbuilders Prevents in a briefing over allegations of bribery linked to the corruption scandal that caused a financial crisis. Prevents denies wrongdoing. A decade ago, 3 newly established companies in Mozambique took a debit of more than 2 billion, much of it without the knowledge of the country's parliament. The loans were for government-sponsored investment scheme, including a maritime security fleet that a tuna fishery project. Mozambique alleged that more than 130 million in bribe are paid to corrupt officers and to credit Suze's staff. The bank has already been fined hundreds of millions of dollars by international regulators.
3 South African Navy submariners have died and 4 others injured after being washed off a deck by a submarine by high waves. The vessel was off the coast near Cape Town when the 7 crew members were swept away. A helicopter was delivering supplies during a refueling operation at the time, the AFP news agency reports. South African National Defence Force, in a statement, said the submariners were participating in a Navy exercise at the time of the incident. All 7 members were recovered, but sadly, there were 3 fatalities, 1 senior officer in critical condition, Army said. 5 others were saved in a subsequent rescue operation added. Police said an inquest was opened after the naval incident. The accident came after a weekend of high winds and rough seas. The South African Weather Service had warned of damaging waves in Cape Town on Wednesday.
Some 90 primary school students are in the hospital after eating nuts suspected to be laced with cannabis in South Africa. The incident, which took place in Sogagil's Township, north of the Petrel, came to the attention of the authorities after students displayed symptoms of nausea, stomach cramp, and vomiting. Gauteng Education members of Executive Council Natom Colina expressed his concern and said the investigations were ongoing. This is concerning for us and call for patience from patients while investigations are underway and learn are recovering. He said, we employ learning to be vigilant for what they pursue and consume and be cautioned for who are pursuing food from. We wish all affected learners speedy recovery. The students aged between 6 and 14 are alleged to have brought the lanes muffin from a street vendor on their ways to school. Teachers witnessed strong behavior from the students in a class and immediately call emergency service or transport. Police are also called to further investigate and identify the suspected vendor. This is International Tidbits on Atlantic Television Network. We return after this break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Say that the country will spend 120 billion dirhams, that is about $11.6 billion, to rebuild the regions destroyed by the 8 September earthquake. The fund will also be used to support the more than 4.2 million people in the province most impacted by the earthquake. The palace said on Wednesday that the fund would be used to rebuild affected people, construct homes, and restore infrastructure over a 5-year period. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake, the strongest to hit Morocco, is more than 60 years, killed more than 2,900 people and injured more than 5,000 others. The earthquake also destroyed infrastructures and more than 50,000 homes in the high Alat Mountains. So far, Morocco has received $700 million in donations to help the earthquake recovery plan. The country planned to make up the deficit use fund allocated by the Moroccan government international aid and continued donation to the Earthquake Recovery Fund.
A man who lived near one of the two dams that burst during Storm Daniel, releasing a tsunami-like surge of water on the Libyan city of Derna last week, says residents here owed Abdelquader or Alamani. We had warned the municipality and demanded repairs. Mr. Omrani spoke to correspondents from his hospital bed in the city of Benghazi, where he has been taken after surviving the floods that killed 6 of his relatives. He managed to escape the rising water by fleeing to his roof terrace, then climbing up onto a tree and up a mountain slope. He described how when the waters began to recede from his hometown, there were no buildings, no trees, only the mountain and no living soul.
6 Palestinians has been killed by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank at Gaza Strip, Medi says. 4 men were killed during the military raid in a Jani refugee camp last week, Tuesday night. 3 of them were claimed to be militant group as members. Another young Palestinian man was killed during an Israeli raid in Jericho on Wednesday morning. Essex was killed during violent demonstrations on Tuesday evening near the Gaza-Israel separation fence. That was intense fighting on Tuesday night in a Jarin camp, a stronghold of Palestinian militants, where the Israeli military launched its biggest operation in a year in the West Bank back in July.
Iran's president is warning Saudi Arabia against making peace with Israel. The warning comes as leaders of both countries claim they are making progress towards a historic deal. Saudi Arabia's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, says an agreement is coming closer every day. And at a meeting with the U.S. President Joe Biden in New York, Israel's prime minister said a peace deal can be forged with the right American backing. But at a news conference also in New York on the fringes of the UN General Assembly, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi told Sky News such a deal will be a stab in the back of the Palestinian people and their resistance. The pace of diplomacy is quickening in the region. A Chinese brokered deal has led to detente between Iran and its arch foes in Saudi Arabia.
Iran's parliament has passed a controversial bill on would increase prison term and fine for women and girls who break its strict dress code. Those caught inappropriately face up to 10 years in prison under the bill, for which a 3-year trial was agreed. It still needs to be approved by the Guardians Council to become law. The move came a year after protests erupted over the death in the custody of Masha Amini, who was held by the minority police for an allegedly improper hijab. Women brought their head curve or waved them in the air as the national demonstration against the critical establishment, during which hundreds of people are reportedly killed in a crackdown by the security forces. A growing number of women and girls are stopped covering their hair in public altogether as the unrest has subsided, despite the return of the majority police to the streets and the installation of surveillance cameras.
The lower house of the Indian Parliament has passed a bill guaranteeing a third of seats for women in the parliaments and state assemblies. First proposed in 1996, the bill had been pending for decades amidst opposition from some political parties. On Wednesday, the Lok Sabha passed it with near unanimity after hours of fierce debate. The bill will now require the approval of lawmakers in Rajya Sabha, the upper house of the Indian Parliament. If passed here, it will be sent to the Indian President for approval and become law. But it is still some way from being implemented, as that would depend on the completion of India's census. The exercise, conducted every 10 years, was set to be held in 2021, but was delayed by the coronavirus pandemic and is now expected to take place in 2025. Reported plans to redraw boundaries of assembly seats to increase the overall number of constituencies, known as delimitation, could further complicate the bill's implementation. The passing of the bill is expected to boost the fortunes of the governing Bharatiya Janata Party in the general elections next year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked MPs who voted for the bill in Lok Sabha. He called it a historic legislation that would enable greater participation of women in the political process.
Indians have suspended visa service of Canadian citizen at escalating row over the killing of the Akar separatists on Canadian soil. Visa service provider BLS posted a message from the Indians mission blaming operational reasons for the decision. Tensions flared this week after Canada said it was investigating credible allegation linking India with the murder of the separatist leaders. India angrily rejected the allegation, calling it absurd. Analysts said are now not all-time low. The move came a day after India issued a advisory urging its citizens traveling or living in Canada to exercise utmost caution in view of the growing anti-India activities and political condemn hate crimes and criminal violence in Canada. India sent the highest number of international students to Canada in 2022. They made up 40% of total overseas students at 3,200.
South Korean police are investigating 17 U.S. soldiers and 5 other people who allegedly smuggled or used synthetic overseas base. A Filipino and a South Korean have been arrested while prosecutors review the cases against all 22 suspects. A tip from the U.S. Army's enforcement arm had sparked a 4-month investigation, one of the largest in recent years, involving American soldiers. U.S. media reported citing Cha Min-suk, a senior detective in South Korea. Joint raids by South Korean police and the U.S. Army's Criminal Investigation Division found 77 grams of synthetic cannabis, more than 4 kg of mixed liquids used for vaping, and a total of $12,850 in cash at the 22 suspected homes. They are accused of smuggling synthetic marijuana, known by the street names K2 and Spice, into the country through the U.S. military's postal service. 7 of them, including 5 soldiers, are thought to have been involved in the sale of the drugs. 12 were users and 3 acted as middlemen. A soldier's spouse and another soldier's fiancé are also involved.
South Korea President Yoon Suk-yeol warned that its country and its allies would not stand idle by if North Korea received Russian help to boost its weapons of mass destruction, just days after a leader of the 2 nuclear-armed nations held a closely watched summit. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un traveled to Russia last week for a meeting with the President Vladimir Putin. Ahead of the meeting, U.S. officials warned that the 2 leaders would strike a deal that will provide weapons for the Moscow to use in Godling war against Ukraine, and that could see a sanction hit Pyongyang gain access to vital Russian technology. That has alarmed South Korea, a U.S. treaty ally. South Korea president also supplied Pyongyang with information in exchange for weapons.
Japanese Crown Prince Akishino, the younger brother of Emperor Naruhito, met Vietnamese Vice President Vo Thi Anh Xuan on Thursday as he started his visit to Hanoi, marking the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between 2 nations. The visit by Akishino and his wife, Crown Princess Kiko, comes at a time when Tokyo is pushing to deepen ties with Southeast Asia and other emerging nations to tackle regional and global challenges. Akishino stressed the importance of ties between the 2 nations at a news conference in Japan last week and said, "I hope we can contribute as a part of an effort to promote friendly relations between the 2 countries." The couple also laid a wreath at the mausoleum of Vietnam's first president, Ho Chi Minh, and are scheduled to meet President Vo Van Tung before traveling to Hoi An in central Vietnam. The trip is Akishino's 3rd to Vietnam after earlier visits in 1999 and 2012. Bilateral trade between the 2 countries was nearly $50 billion last year, making Japan the 4th largest trading.
For 2 years after she was found guilty of breaching the country's blasphemy law in a TikTok food video she posted in March. The video showed Lena Lofiawati reciting a Muslim prayers before eating some spicy pork skin and quickly amusing millions of views. Pork is considered haram or not permissible under Islamic law. The court Indonesian city of Palembang, on the south part of the Sumatra island, found a 33-year-old deliberately spread information that was intended to incite hate or individuals group enmity based on regional and ordered her to pay a fine of 250 million RAV over 116 million, 60 million Indonesian dollar, Indonesia in the world's largest Muslim majority nations. The case is the largest in a number of blasphemy cases around the country, mostly against those deemed to have insulted Islam, and the analysis have said undermine Indonesia's reputation for moderation.
Travelers departing from one of the world's busiest airports will soon be able to do so without needing a passport. An automated immigration clearance system is to be introduced at Changi Airport, Singapore from 2024, ministers have announced. The changes will allow people to depart the airport without needing to repeatedly present their travel documents. Biometric data taken from fingerprint scans and facial recognition technology will replace travel documents and other physical items such as passports. Automated immigration lanes at Changi already use the technology, but the new measures will allow people to enjoy a more seamless experience when passing through the airport.
The lane of Changjing also already use the technology, but the new measures will allow people to enjoy a more seamless experience when passing through the airport. A French journalist was held overnight and questioned by police in connection with a 2021 report that alleged that French intelligence was used by Egypt to kill civilians. Police reported Sage Ariana Loveslock house on 19 September and later took her into custody. Lovelock's lawyer said there was question about part of investigation into compromising national security. She was released after a night in custody. Amnesty International's Kiati Rock has said she was very worried for the journalist at the time of her arrest. Lonex was reportedly questioned by a police officer from the French intelligence service, the General Detector for International Security, or DGSI. A 2021 report used leaked classified documents to allege that Egyptian authorities used French intelligence to bomb and kill smugglers on the Egyptian-Liberian border between 2016 and 2018. According to the report, French forces were implicated in at least 19 bombing against civilians.
Poland said it will stop providing weapons to Ukraine amid a growing dispute between the two countries over a temporary ban on Ukrainian grain imports. Poland has long been one of Ukraine's staunchest backers since Moscow's invasion of its neighbor, alongside multiple former Eastern Bloc nations, who fear they could be next if Russian President Vladimir Putin's expansionist war is successful. The ban on Ukrainian grain was initially put in place earlier this year by several European Union nations to protect the livelihood of local farmers worried about being undercut by low prices of Ukrainian grain. Morawiecki, the Prime Minister, said he would not risk destabilizing the Polish market by accepting Ukrainian grain imports, but would not prevent passage through Poland.
This is International Tit Bits on Atlantic Television Network. We return after this break. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is International Tit Bits on Atlantic Television Network. And joining me in the conversation today is an international affairs analyst, Mr. Raymond Kane Bata. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Let's go straight to our story for today. The family of a U.S. man who drowned after driving off a collapsed bridge are claiming that they died because Google failed to update its map. Phillips Paxson's family are suing the company over his death, allegedly that Google negligently failed to show the bridge had fallen 9 years earlier. Mr. Paxson died in September 2022 after attempting to drive over a damaged bridge in Hockory, North Carolina. A spokesperson for Google said the company was reviewing allegations. The case was filed in civil court in Wake County on Tuesday. Mr. Paxson, a father of two, was driving home from the daughter's ninth birthday party at a friend's house and was in an unfamiliar neighborhood at the time of his death, according to the family's lawsuit. His wife has driven his two daughters home earlier and has stayed behind to help clean up. Unfamiliar with local roads, he relied on Google Maps, expecting it would safely direct him home to his wife and daughters. Lawmakers for families said in a statement announcing the lawsuit, tragically, as he drove uncautiously in the darkness and rain, he unsuspectedly followed Google's out-of-date direction to what his family later learned to nearly a decade was called the bridge to nowhere, crashing into Snow Creek, where he drowned. Local residents has repeatedly contacted Google to have them change their online maps after the bridge collapsed in 2013. The suit claims. This is very sad. I mean, this is very sad because according to the story that we have here, they have called attention of Google managers to do something about this. I don't know if you are ever seen yourself in this situation. I remember one time I was trying to locate a place, and then, of course, I actually rely on Google Map because I didn't know the place. And then what they were just telling me is, in 10 minutes' time, turn to left. In 10 minutes' time, your left. In 10 minutes, like 10 minutes, I keep turning left till I finally enter one way. And that was a big issue for me. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But I just have to tell them, it's not my fault. This is what I was following. And based on how I pleaded with them, the people I'm talking about, they just had to free me. And this is issue. Do you think the family has done the right thing by suing them? Yes. So that next time they will learn their lesson?
Definitely. Family is on the right track. Considering that a lot of people have met their water, a lot of people have died by following Google Maps. And Google Maps is something that has been inspiring over the years, but of recently, they've not been able to update their maps, and people rely on those maps, and those maps have led them to their Waterloo. There are Russians that have followed Google Maps and gone into the wilderness and froze to death. There are people that were going for a vacation on Google Maps, and their cars fell off a cliff because they just felt that they were on the right path. I think that Google has a lot to do in updating their maps, as at when you following up new developments and following up places that are forbidden to go into, so that people don't follow Google Maps into trouble.
When you're saying a place that is forbidden to go into, I mean, this is a map we are talking about. How will Google know that, okay, this place is not okay? Don't you think that not just Google Maps, just like the residents rightly claim here that they have called the attentions of the organizers, of the managers of the map to update that this place is not okay? Don't you think that it's not just the duty of the Google workers, but also the residents to be able to tell them that this place is forbidden to go, for them to update the locations?
Yes. First of all, if Google is providing a service and that service is encouraged to be used, then Google has the duty to update those services. Secondly, the family of the late man did not only sue Google, they also sued the construction company in charge of the bridge that the man fell through. Yes, I acquiesce to what you just said. It's not just only Google, but at the same time, these people followed through Google's the application of Google. Yes, if a bridge is no longer in use, the required authorities there are supposed to seal it off with a very good signpost showing that these places are not to be used. But at the same time, Google knows that people will always rely on them. And if people are going to rely on them, they have to update their services and also update all these notices that these places are no longer fit for human usage. So I think Google has a lot to do because people rely on Google Maps, first of all, before they get to those locations that they ought not to go.
And if Google is found guilty, what kind of punishment do you think they will serve for these particular issues right now?
Yeah, definitely. The court is going to grant the families reprieve in financial sums. You can't bring back the dead. But at the same time, they have to be able to pay through their noses so that when next this kind of situations wants to crop up, they will be able to be proactive in rectifying such.
Before we go to the next story, I just want to ask this question to viewers. You can drop the comment, your view on the comment section. And I want to ask, how do you feel when one lost their loved ones and the punishment, people end up paying huge amounts to compensate the family? Can money actually replace one's life? Because I don't know. I really don't understand. When you eat the money finish, what next? What are you going to do with the money that will be able to bring back the memory of the person? I don't know. But that's for you. You can answer that question. Let's go to the next story for today. Venezuela has sent 11,000 troops to regain control of its biggest prison that has been overturned by a powerful criminal gang. The Takron prison in the north of the country was under the control of a Tren de Agua mega gang for years. Members are unable to roam freely around the prison, which had hostels like facilities including a pool, nightclub, and a mini zoo, local media reported. Officials said the 6,000 inmates would be transferred to other prisons. Many free residents were living inside the prison alongside sentenced inmates after authorities announced that the prisoners would be relocated. Some relatives cried outside. Unsure where they would go next. And we have seen, I mean, how can one possibly be in a prison and then you are still causing chaos? I don't know people there that, I mean, are they not under the control of correctional directives?
That's an example of a banana republic. It's kind of like an Al Pacino, kind of like a symbol of failing administrations and authorities. You can't leave a prison in charge of a gang for almost a decade, and the gang has been able to build a swimming pool in the prison and have a mini zoo and have family members there that even when the military came to evacuate them from there, they were crying and asking, where do we go from here? I mean, you were in prison and you're asking, where are you going to go from here? That means it was so comfortable, more comfortable than their own home front.
You know, I read a story once that I wondered, because there is this man in the Western world that he brought out of prison and he was crying, please, I want to go back to prison. And I'm like, how can you be freed from bondage and then you still want to go back there? I didn't know that not all prisoners are actually prison, that a lot is actually going up there. I mean, this is enjoyment. It's more like you're living underground. And then you are having all fun. Everything is within your reach. The only problem is you are confined in a particular environment. It means that whatever thing you want, you have there. You can decide to go and swim, I mean, have fun. So a lot of people want to go to prison. How do you see that?
I mean, they should discourage that prison. They should bulldoze it down. The prison is meant to correct. It's meant to punish. It's meant to be something to deter you from going into the same crime that they brought the person there for. So I think it's in place that the troops have taken over the place. If not, it's just another residence that can be enjoyed. And if prison is enjoyed, it's no longer prison.
Well, me, I'm asking myself, and I'm equally asking you, is this really prison or or zin? What exactly it is? Prison, like you rightly say, prison is a place where you go, they will correct your brain. It's not where you go and have fun. It's not where you go. We know that, of course, you are still human, so you will not be completely deprived of so many things. But again, there are some things that you cannot gain access to. But in a situation that a prisoner have access to go and swim, I mean, you have club in there, and of course, they will patronize vendors that will bring them drinks, and then you're just having fun. I don't understand again. This is no longer prison. The government needs to do something. Otherwise, people will consciously commit crime with the mindset of, if I go there, I will only join, club. I will only join my gown. I'm still going to have my fun there. There are people that don't even see, people will say that school is a scam, and then they say adulthood is what again? What did they say? Adulthood is scam. So they prefer to go in there and have people do everything for them while they still have their fun. And that is not the country or the nation or the world that we are looking forward to have. This is the much we can take on today's International Tidbit. Thank you so much, Raymond, for joining me on today's show. In case you missed out in any of the stories, we have platforms for you to follow. But don't forget that I am Immaculata Jacob Irikana. You can join us on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, or you can join us live on our website at atlanticnetwork.tv. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress.